This will get me in trouble. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of the Showerpodcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and first of all, I would like to state that the title was clickbait. I don't necessarily believe that. I love cats and dogs the same way. I do tend to have a slight preference for cats, but for the reasons that I will explain now. So this is just to have my alibi straight and to not get in trouble. Having said that, let me tell you a bit about this, because I've had a discussion with a good amount of people, and I stand by my, by my choices and by my reasoning, but let's see what you believe in. So why do I say that cats are better than dogs? I am saying it strictly from a, behavioral pattern, and mostly when put in comparison to dogs. And this is, of course, not about the single cat or the dog. This, I think it's obvious, but it's mostly because of how this relates also to how we interact with people. When you think of a cat, the most, stereotypical, view that you have of her or him is that they're on their own, they're independent, they don't care so much about you, and they only, stay around you as long as that is for their convenience, be it for food and shelter, pretty much. If a cat approaches you, most of the time is because they want something. If you give them to them, they will keep on doing that because it's something that you do well for them, and they receive also something good. In contrast, dogs, they get excited about anything. They see you and they don't need anything. They are there for you. They will always be there for you. There are unfortunately so many cases in which those poor animals are not treated properly, yet they continue to show love and affection and dedication to their owners, or at least the people that are around them. And this is very, very, very close to also behavioral patterns that we humans have towards other people. Specifically, this, relates to relationships, but it also happens with friendships. So what happens is that if you do have the behavior of a dog, that is always there for somebody, you always treat them right, you love them unconditionally, and you're there whatever happens, down the line, it can happen, and unfortunately, again, it does, that the other part will just assume that you're there, will only look at their own interest, and that will be all for them. They won't actually have to put in effort to continue to get what you're providing them with. Whereas, if you do have the behavior of a cat, you first of all try to understand what the intention of the other is. You are reluctant and you try to get, something from the relationship by bringing something yourself. So for cats is, they purr, they want to be cute and they want to stay around you. If you give them food, they will continue to do that. If you ignore them, if you don't do what they require, they get sassy, they don't treat you right, they are not affectionate anymore, and they tend to stay distant. And between the two, I personally believe that the cats are right. And specifically, and again, this is also something very important that I want to state, is that this is important when approaching, when knowing somebody. This is the behavioral pattern that they tend to bring when they are not really trusting the other. Because down the line, and again, it has been proven many times, if the cat is proven back, again and again, that you are trustworthy, that you actually do what you say, and that you provide them with what they are required, they will tend to be more affectionate. They will tend not to act and, require stuff from you. And whereas they will lean to give you stuff, for free, because you gained their trust. And I do think this is, again, something that a lot of people could, let's say, steal from their behavior. And in general, I really believe that we always should be on the outlook for what is given to us. We should always appreciate these kind of behaviors, because you don't know what will happen tomorrow. And the fact that we tend sometimes to give for granted the love, the affection, the presence of who is around us is not necessarily something positive, because one day something might change, and once that thing is not there anymore, you will understand, well, maybe I didn't treat them the best way. So go get a cat, not a dog. No, I'm joking. I don't want to get in that behavior, in that, let's say, in that realm. Because at the same time, I do believe that there is a full need also to have the behaviors that dogs show, have that kind of attitude where you're not scared to show love. You're not scared to show affection. You're there, whatever happens, because it brings you joy. And at the end, something that I've said, let's say, in both situations, is that their behavioral patterns is what brings in the end joy to them. Both the dog and the cat acting fully differently, at the end of the day, if they act upon their own thoughts and their own needs, they will be happy. So don't be scared to choose one or the other, but at the same time, remember that, at least this is also my view, and let's say I've also seen that kind of pattern from let's say successful couples, and in general relationships that work, is that it is not true that love is unconditional. It is not true that you are with somebody just because. You are with somebody because they bring you joy, they bring you happiness, they make you feel good. If that wasn't the case, if there is no exchange between the two of you, and I underline the two of you, is just not one getting the pleasure and the relaxation and the other has to suffer and give up stuff to give it to the other. Okay, so if both of you are aligned and make a mutual agreement, a contract, then things will work out, because you know what you're bringing, you know what you're receiving, you're happy with that, so you will start doing it whatever happens. But there has to be that initial agreement. You have to know what kind of behavior the person that you're with has in order to be able to have them work together. And to close it up, and I think it summarizes perfectly, it is true that indeed dogs and cats don't go along together all that well, but if they grow up together, if they get to know each other, and if these two behaviors, let's say, unite into one, then they can also become best friends and get the best out of it in terms of both. So I haven't mentioned it yet, but this is just because I've came back from getting my croissant, so I'm gonna go and have breakfast now. It was very cold outside, but I was like, let me get at least a different outfit in there. And this was episode 17 of the Shower Podcast. Thank you for listening, and see you at the next one.